Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This week, we're going to talk about all the lies that you were fed to make you vote for somebody you probably wouldn't have voted for if you would have known the truth of the matter. But before I tell you what it is, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Now let's jump into it. So I know a lot of people out there in the world have decided to vote for people they may have seen on TikTok, on YouTube, on platforms like this. And you know what? Kudos to you for getting out there and voting. I don't really care who you voted for, why. Political reasons are not my thing. But what I will tell you is there are some shenanigans. There's some things going on that are designed to get you to think you are voting for the party that cares about you when in fact they don't really care about you. So example number one, a lot of people voted for the Democrats because they believed they were going to get student debt relief. Oh my God, the president has used a wartime law to pass the student debt relief, and I'm going to get $10,000. I'm going to get that completely eviscerated. And for most people in America, that actually wound up totally wiping out their student loan debt. And they were excited. Democrats got my back. But the reality was that never really happened. And today, November 10th, the recording of this particular video, it was declared unconstitutional in the state of Texas and is likely to be that way permanently and indefinitely. Ironically, just a couple of days after the midterm elections. Is it a setup? I don't know. But here's the problem is most of you went into those midterms thinking the Democrats had your back when in fact they didn't necessarily have their back. They knew they did something that was likely to be unconstitutional and rendered unconstitutional. But that never happened to come to light until after the actual midterms votes occurred. So they got their votes. Did they really care about you? Did they not? I don't know. Maybe they did it in good faith. Maybe they didn't. But the overwhelming problem is now you voted for Democrats thinking they're going to be back in office trying to help you out like they did the first time, but never actually got the cash. Now let's move to the second example. One of my favorites, 10 Democrats, and I'm not picking on the Democrats, this is just the stuff that made the news, sent a letter to Jerome Powell saying, oh my God, Fed Secretary Jerome Powell, you're going to crash the economy. The unemployment rate's going to skyrocket. This is nuts. You need to stop these federal interest rate increases. You're going to cause all these people, millions of Americans, to be unemployed. In fact, they actually quoted the numbers that they thought would occur 1 year from the date of the letter. They said, as of today, the unemployment is 3.7%, but we think by the end of 2023, unemployment is going to be 4.4%. Light bulb moment for you out there, kids. 5% is generally considered normal as part of a healthy economy for transitory migration of employees. A certain amount of employees jumping from one job to another job is considered healthy. So 4.4% in a single year is still well below what's considered healthy or normalized unemployment figures. Total added unemployment, they said, 1 million jobs. And they sent it to the Fed Secretary, knowing full well that guess what? None of these things were really going to change the Fed Secretary's perspective. And yet there happened to be a press release which quoted a letter. How did that happen, America? So you read the news and you think to yourself in earnest, wow, the Democrats are really looking out for me. They're really trying to make my life better. They care about my job. They care about me losing my job. But they knew when they wrote the letter that it wasn't going to be effective. They knew when they wrote the letter that they were going to go out to the press and use it as a PR stunt. But ironically, the exact same day that article came out, the exact same day, another article came out from the Associated Press and a number of other sources saying that employment was super strong, like we know that it has been throughout this period of our economy that we will later on look back on and say is a recessionary economy. And yet throughout this whole time, the employment market's been strong. But yet there are those of you out there who will look at this same statement, who will look at the position that the Democrats took in this article that came out by a third party and say, wow, they really care about me losing my job. And they will vote for the Democrats. This is why I tell so many people on this particular channel, on our podcast, and throughout my other social media, that you have to look at things without bias. I, again, do not care who you vote for, but I do care who you vote for without knowing that you're voting for people that are using your opinion of what's going on in the market to swing your vote their way, even though none of these things are ever designed to actually come to fruition. They are designed to get your votes. So who do you look at? I guarantee you CEOs and lawyers and doctors, for the most part, are not worried about losing their job. They're going after the middle class, the lower class, the workman's class. They're going after the people that they know will come out in masses and vote and have allegiances. When you look at things like Jerome Powell's actions in increasing the Fed interest rate increases, not many people are sophisticated enough to know what the impacts are in the broader spectrum. They're just listening to the rhetoric in the news. So they took advantage of that particular class to get them to come out more, the working class, for the Democrats. You look at something like student loan relief, and guess what? It's the exact same thing, but it's aimed at a younger generation of people who otherwise probably wouldn't vote and who are not your doctors and lawyers. Because guess what? Doctors and lawyers or CEOs of companies, they didn't meet that income threshold of $150,000 or less or $125,000 or less to actually get the student debt relief. They were targeting people they knew may be more likely swayed than not. So I hope next time you see some news, whether that's good news or bad news, you look at the political ramifications, particularly before the elections. The midterms have already passed, but you got another election coming up in November of 24. So be cognizant, stay aware, and make sure you look at things through the lens of somebody who's doubting the political ramifications for why these things are happening, particularly when an article says Democrats or Republicans in it. That's usually a sign they're trying to get you to vote a certain way. Thank you for tuning in. Click that like button, subscribe, and send it to your friends. We need love too. Catch you next week.